Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes, and we are meditating today on the light of hope. We've actually been meditating all along on the light of hope. And I would like to invite us to connect with the sacred energy of the Advent wreath. And so this is one of the gifts given to the meditation community by Swami Nityananda. So in meditation, he tuned in and connected with the way the evergreen wreath makes visible beginningless, endless life. And so each of us is part of this beginningless and endless life. And what this also means is we are part of dynamic, sacred, beginningless, ongoing love as well, supreme love. And so just to allow ourselves to connect with something that a true story came to me in our opening meditation. There was a woman who was catapulted beyond her body, beyond her awareness. She actually left her body, left the consciousness of her body and traveled beyond it. And as she was traveling into the pure light, she realized, oh, this pure light, this is my home. I know this. That human life that I was living, that was a brief interlude. And then she came back into her body. She got to continue enjoying the brief interlude. So for each of us, as many days as we have lived, as many years as we live in this particular life that is humanness, here now in time and space, that is a brief interlude. And so this Advent wreath is making visible the ongoingness, the interconnectedness, the immortality that is true for each one of us. And so we're connecting with that and rejoicing in that and honoring that for ourselves and for all existence, for all beings. We are also making visible the light of hope. So each of us is always the light of hope. I know that it doesn't always feel this way when one is in human form. What we are doing is reconnecting with the sacred reality, the sacred realization, the sacred trust that has been placed in each of us to remember day by day, moment by moment, I am the light of hope. The light of hope lives and breathes and has its being in me. And so as we meditate with this light of hope, connect with that reality and actually allow every breath you breathe to breathe the light of hope into your heart. And let yourself feel it directly now. With the very next breath that you breathe, breathe the light of hope into your heart. And feel the way the light of hope connects you with the strength and the steadiness, the support of your own heart. Also feel the light of hope brings an opening, an allowing, a receiving of light, the same way that flowers bloom and allow the light to penetrate to their very core, to their very heart. Allow the light to penetrate to your very core, to your very heart. Allow the light to melt away sadness and pain and fear. Allow the light to strengthen you and support you and comfort you in what is true and real and fine and pure and bright and dynamic and generous and graceful and faithful and steady always. And if you like, I invite you to keep giving yourself the gift of absorbing the light of hope. So it's perfect. Allow your gaze to be soft and steady on the light of hope. And then it's even fine to close your eyes and allow yourself to feel inwardly the way that you have received the light of hope. And then anytime you want to reconnect with the light of hope, gently blink open your eyes and allow yourself to gaze softly and reverently on the light of hope, letting it fill your heart, your mind, your body, your awareness, your life. And then when you feel ready, close your eyes again and allow yourself to feel directly the gift and the blessing and the grace of that light of hope. I'm going to move, but I firmly invite you to keep focusing on the light of hope. I'm moving over here to share a scripture. So these are teachings from Isaiah chapter 40. And this is That voice of prophecy, that voice of inner knowing within each of us, it is a voice that gives incredible strength and hope and faith and trust and promise and possibility and steadfastness and fortitude and faithfulness and certainty and constancy and follow-through to each one of us. And so as I read this, I invite you to feel this is the divine within you, calling to you, hailing you. H-A-I-L, hailing you, in the way that you say, hey, you! This is the divine calling you, hailing you, calling out to you, pulling you into this realization directly. And so allow yourself to feel this directly within yourself as I read. A voice of one calling, in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. And I'm going to read this again. Allow yourself to feel anywhere within yourself that you have felt wilderness. This voice is calling you to healing. Right there in the wilderness, in the pain, in the confusion, in the sadness, in the loss, in the agony. That's the wilderness for you. And that's right there where the divine is saying, right there, make straight. In that desert, in that wilderness, that will transform into a highway for the Lord. And allow yourself to feel and receive that gift right now. So you can gently bring into your awareness anywhere in yourself that has felt like a wilderness or like a desert. In that very place, that is where the all-healing light of hope is working within you. Grace comes in, spiritual ecstasy comes in, and it shows you this is next to be healed. So there is never any reason to fear. There is just reason to continue opening to the light and being willing to see and to recognize this in me is next to be healed by the all-healing light of hope. And I'm going to keep reading. This is about each of us, within each of us. Every valley shall be raised up within each of us. Every mountain and hill made low within each of us. The rough ground shall become level in me. The rugged places a plain in you, in all of us. And so anywhere within yourself that you have felt rough ground or ruggedness, allow the all-healing light of hope to be a balm, to be a salve, to be pure wholeness, connection, comfort, affection. Allow yourself to receive the all-healing light of hope. I'm going to keep reading. The glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all people will see it together. As we open to this all-healing light, divine glory becomes visible in each one of us. Divine glory becomes radiant in each one of us. And divine glory and radiance is contagious in the best possible way. So it transmits, it travels forth. It is like that quiet mind resting in the quiet heart of God, merging with dynamic, overflowing, sacred, radiant spiritual bliss in this very body. And from the union of quiet and sacred, radiant bliss, the whole universe is born. There is a cosmic explosion of auspiciousness and generosity and goodness and gladness. Light pours forth unstoppably, unquenchably, and each of us is that light. Each of us is invited to feel that light, to be that light, to reverence and respect and honor and bless and adore and sing and shout and celebrate that light. right in daily life, right where we are. So I'm going to keep reading. You who bring good news to Zion, go up on a high mountain. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with a shout. Lift it up, do not be afraid. Say to the towns of Judah, here is your God. And so this is that dynamic aliveness within each of us. Lift up your voice with a shout. Lift it up, be not afraid. This is that energy of upliftment, of self-upliftment that dwells within each one of us. And so the Bhagavad Gita reminds us of this. It says, we lift up ourselves when we harmonize our own senses, our own mind, our own ego. We lift up ourselves. And as we do that, we also make it possible for others to lift up themselves as well. So when we do this, we become a friend to ourselves. If we don't do this, we become not a friend to ourselves. The Bhagavad Gita says we become an enemy to ourselves. And so just to remember that truth, and please, please be a friend to yourself. And it's also telling us this is the sacred duty, the sacred responsibility of each one of us. As soon as we hear this teaching, we get to uplift ourselves. We get to quiet our mind. We get to quiet our senses. We get to bring harmony to our ego. And then the upliftment arises. It unfolds naturally, the same way that the candle is able to share its light effortlessly. That upliftment arises. Continuing to read from Isaiah 40. He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. And so this is the divine enfolding, embracing each one of us. And so see if you can close your eyes and allow yourself to receive directly in this moment. Supreme love is embracing you, me, every single human being on the planet. In this moment, I open and I allow supreme love to embrace me. In this moment, I open. I allow all healing light of hope to hold me close to the heart of God. In the heart of God, all things are possible. Pain and sadness and separation and loss melt away. There is only connectedness. There is only caring. There is only community. There is only harmony. There is only unity. There is only affection. There is only joy. There is only laughter. There is only realizing that all the days of my life, all the days of your life, we only ever, always have been held in the heart of God. No matter what we have experienced humanly, every moment of our existence, we are held in the heart of God. Allow yourself to feel directly the all-healing light of hope that arises effortlessly from that. Continuing to read Isaiah, the Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. Divine understanding always overflows human understanding. And so what each of us is invited to do is to offer any human understanding we have ever held or formulated direct into the heart of God. And to say, Divine Grace, this is my understanding. Show me your understanding. Help me see with clarity and peace and humility directly. What is your divine understanding that far exceeds any human understanding? I open to that in humility, and I trust, and I allow myself to faithfully and joyfully play my part, whatever my part is, whatever role the divine has given me and asked me to play. I will play that gladly, with steadiness, with joy, knowing that God has already appointed all solutions. God has already given all answers. Each of us always is invited to be continually that quiet mind resting in the quiet heart of God. The quiet mind resting in the quiet heart of God is desireless because there is no lack, there is no limitation, there is no separateness, there is nothing to want when one is quiet mind resting in the heart of God. And from that blooms spiritual ecstasy. So it's only when we fully and totally purify ourselves, giving all of our desires, giving our mind and our senses and our ego and our body and our life and our perceptions and our concepts and our thoughts and our words and our deeds to the divine, that we are able to be always that quiet mind resting in the quiet heart of God. Spiritual ecstasy, radiant and dynamic, filling us to overflowing and sharing through us simply as we exist, silently, right in the midst of our daily tasks, our daily chores, our daily conversations, our daily responsibility. And that does help uphold the whole universe. When we remember and reconnect with our own divinity, which is the same divinity, the one divinity that shines within all beings. All of existence is that divinity made visible. And we are invited to clarify our vision and our awareness so that we see clearly and directly and always only the heart of God, everywhere, no matter what the human experience is. The passage goes on, the divine gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. And so right here and right now, allow yourself to hope in the divine and allow your strength to be renewed. Allow what is true and real in you to be strengthened, to be filled with hope and faith and steadiness and dynamic grace and possibility. That wholeness, that fullness, that aliveness is so precious. It is so beautiful. And it dwells in each one of us with absolute love and joy. And when we have connectedness to that, we realize the rest of the verses. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So see if you can feel within yourself that dynamic light of hope. That in you soars on wings like eagles. That in you runs and never grows weary. That in you walks and is never faint. That in you always trusts in the divine. That in you knows I live in an abundant universe. Every moment of my existence, I am interconnected with the entire natural world. My body is an extension of the natural world. The natural world is an extension of my body. The light in me is an extension and an expression of the light within every other sister and brother and sibling on the planet. The light in every human on the planet is an extension of the light in me. Notice what happens the moment I believe in an abundant universe. The moment I feel my body and the natural world are interconnected extensions of one another, the moment I know directly the light in me is a direct connectedness with the light in everyone else, I will not be able to live in fear. I will trust the goodness, the positive love and joy and creativity and cooperation and gladness that exists in the natural world and in myself. I will adore and cherish and honor and respect and reverence and trust the light that exists in the heart of all human beings. I will honor that light and the light in myself. I will build trust and cooperation and kinship and celebration and happy families and community and connection. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Because I am the house of the Lord, and every human on the planet is the house of the Lord. And every needle on every tree, and every grain of sand, and the mountains, and every drop of water in the sea, and every star spilled across the heavens is the house of the Lord. I am at home everywhere because there is only the house of the Lord. And I am able to trust the goodness of the human, tender, breakable heart because it is the house of the Lord. And so I am able to love my own human heart, and I am able to love the humanness in every other human heart, and I am able to be connected always to the sacredness, the divinity, the dignity, the house of the Lord that dwells in every human being on this planet. And notice what happens. Human structures that have been based on separation and fear melt. There is only a recognition that the sacred birth of Jesus also makes visible the sacred birth of light within every human and within all of existence. And then each one of us, every single human on the planet, is invited to live that interconnectedness with all of nature and with every other human on the planet. As we do this, we fulfill the dreams, the longings, the yearnings, the callings, the prayers of our heart, and we also uphold all humans in the fulfillment of their heart longings and yearnings and callings and prayers. And we make visible as we live this, the kingdom of heaven is within you, right in you, in your own heart. And the kingdom of heaven is among you, made visible only in trust and connection, made visible only in sacred caring and community and affection, made visible only in honoring the incredibly precious sacred trust that has been placed in each one of us. Each of us steps forward to honor and fulfill the sacred trust that has been placed in each of us, to live the days of our lives with mercy, with clear seeing, with understanding, with kindness, with awareness, honoring what is real and true and fine and bright and beautiful and good and glad in ourselves, which is also the same light that shines beautifully and brightly and finely with goodness and gladness in the hearts of every other human on the planet. And in this way, we make visible the kingdom of heaven in time and space. That is what these words in Isaiah are talking about. That is why Jesus took embodiment. That is why we are here. Thank God, and God bless us all.